It's Sunday morning, and every decent man and woman is listening to Test Miles with Nick Miles on FM News 101 KXL. Buckle in.
Sunday morning, time to talk cars the next 60 minutes on your weekly automotive experience. I'm Nick Miles. You're listening to America's Automotive Radio Show. Test Miles, locally created, nationally celebrated. More locally created today because we are live in Forest Grove. We are at Pacific University and the 43rd Concours d'Elegance out here in the beautiful, shady inner area of the university. 300 cars and many, many people here walking around this morning. Seen some cars which will wow you and will damage your wallet if you want to buy them as well. Some valuable, some historic, some absolutely outstanding vehicles, and every single one of them comes with an amazing story. Now, the gentleman who is the event chairperson for the Concours d'Elegance is Alan Stevens. Alan, good morning. Quite a show, whole year's work going into today.
Yes, we're really happy that you guys could come out. We've got 300 cars here on the campus. It does take us a year of planning to put this together. We work with a lot of car clubs. We're working with the Classic Car Club of America. They're hosting a national meet here today. So if people come out, they're going to see some incredible cars.
All right, so what is the procedure? There's a donation, you buy tickets? How do people get in here today?
Yeah, so you can drive out to Forest Grove, look for the signs for Pacific University. At the entry gates, you can purchase a ticket. Adult tickets are $20. Student tickets are $13. Seniors are $18. Come on in. It's a great day in the shade. You will not be out in the sun like at the air show. So if you love cars, come on out.
Excellent. Let's talk about some of the vehicles that you have on display here. There are different classes, there are different years, there are different values. Those cars sort of that start in the $1,000 pocket change type of category. And then there's those cars that you just dream about owning. Everything from the early part of the 1920s all the way through, right the way up until some of the most modern cars. In fact, Ron Tonkin, who are a sponsor of this event, have the latest Fiats, Maseratis, and Ferraris out here.
That's right.
So explain to me how the categories work here at the Concours d'Elegance.
Yeah, so we have classes for everything from antique automobiles, which is the early 1900s through about 1915, all the way up to modern supercars. And in between there, you'll find classes for what we call classic automobiles, which is your cars of the 30s, special interest cars, cars of the 50s and 60s. We have a special class for Ford Thunderbirds, all the way up through muscle cars. We have Shelby GT Mustangs, Corvettes, things like that. And then this year we've added a new class for modern supercars. We really want to showcase the most powerful and the latest technology in automobiles. We also want to get, the younger generation of enthusiasts involved out here.
There are cars here actually that you could buy today to have some of the essence of what goes on here. So perhaps a Ferrari or a Maserati isn't in your budget, but maybe a Fiat is. Mm-hmm. I see the new Fiat 500X is on display here, which is a brand new car from Fiat. So that's the gamut of what goes on. But there is the opportunity to purchase cars out here as well, isn't there?
Well, you can talk to the Ron Tonkin representatives. They're out in their area with the new Fiats as well as the new Ferraris and Maseratis. They are our presenting sponsors, and so those are the folks to talk to if you're looking for a new car here today.
But there are some older cars that I was referring to, because you have the pre-owned classic cars for sale. Yeah,
we do have a what we call the Auto Emporium, which is the for sale lot for classic cars, and that's located down in the southeast corner of the campus. You'll find probably 20 or 30 classic automobiles, ranging from a Ford Mustang all the way up to a really, really slick Ferrari. And so whatever your budget is, they'll find something there.
That's one of the most exciting things is here, because you don't have to go and sit on classic car sites and search. You might be able to find the car that you've been looking for here that's for sale. And if not, dreaming is free. You can come and dream about any car here today. That's your license to be able to do that. There's a big schedule of events going on here today as well, Alan. The gates opened at 8:30 and the judging began at 9 o'clock. Now we have the Exotic Car Emporium, which is open, and then at 11 o'clock when we get off the air, you're going to have some musical entertainment as well.
Right. We've got the Tom Grant Band featuring Shelley Rudolph. Tom Grant, as you may know, is a wonderful jazz artist, and when he starts up, the music that they have, the vocalist from Shelley Rudolph, it's fantastic music. It creates a wonderful ambiance here looking at the cars.
You might be able to hear a little bit in the background here, but there is definitely lots of festivities going on here. There is interviews, there is music, and there is entertainment right now. But Tom Grant on at 11. And then at noon is when the judging is over, when the judges have walked around. So what prizes are on offer today? If there's judging, there's prizes. So what sort of, the prizes may not be of monetary value, but the prizes are for the categories, presumably.
Yeah, that's correct. So we offer, the way the judging works is we offer prizes for first, second, and third in class. And then the cars that capture first in class are eligible for special awards. And they can be eligible for what we call the Best in Show trophies. We have Best in Show pre-war, Best in Show post-war, and then from those cars, we pick the overall Best in Show winner of the whole event.
And that's announced at 4 p.m., right?
Correct. Our trophy presentation starts about 2 o'clock. You'll see cars coming across the stage. We'll hand out those best-in-class trophies. Then right at the end, we'll keep the 4 cars on the stage that are the best of all the 300 cars here. We'll keep those 4 cars on the stage. Keith Martin will announce the Best in Show winner. They'll get a wonderful crystal trophy. We'll get some pictures, and that'll be it for the show this year.
So Keith Martin, of course, from Sports Car Market. If you're local, you're probably very familiar with Keith. He's going to be on the show around 10:45 this morning. Why this event? Why put it on?
Well, it started out in 1973. My father was actually one of the people on the organizing committee here in the Rotary Club in Forest Grove, and they were looking for a fundraiser to raise money for local programs, local sports programs, and also student scholarships. They came up with the idea of doing a car show. It really caught fire in the late 70s and 80s, and then now it's become such an institution that we've kept it going for 43 years. There is so much enthusiasm and such interest in automobiles here in the Portland area. As you know, there's so many car people around. There's so many Porsche fans, sports car fans. So all those people, they've been coming out here. Their father's been coming out here. So we see multi-generations of people coming out here to show cars. It's really fantastic.
And you've raised how much money over the time that it's been
We've
going?
raised well over $1 million, has gone back to the Rotary Club Foundation, which funds student scholarships and community service programs. And so we're looking to raise even more money today. All net proceeds go directly back to the Rotary Club Foundation.
And that eventually ends up in the community, right?
Correct.
So not only great cars, but also something that really revives the community, not revives, but sustains the local community through the Rotary Club. So it's a great event today. Sean and Jenya are both with us today on site here. Sean, you've had an opportunity to wander around. What have you seen? What do you like?
I've just seen so many amazing cars. I do not envy the people who actually have to judge these cars, because I just feel it'd be almost impossible to pick a favorite.
You were telling me that that's the first time you've seen a Shelby in the flesh.
Well, one of the modern Shelbys, and yeah, it was like first time, and you and I are always around cars, and it's the first time I've actually seen one up close and personal.
And then, Jenya, what have you seen that you like?
There's a lot of things I've seen that I like. There's a Porsche Carrera GT. I've never seen one of those, and I'm really interested in that. And there's an SLS Black that I've always loved, the SLSs, and this is just so special to have one here.
Of course, both very modern cars. For me, I'm interested in finding out more about this 1930s Packard. We're going to find out how it transported the royal family later on. So, Alan, thanks very much for inviting us to be at the Concours d'Elegance here in Forest Grove. Again, you should come down today and join everybody on the center area at the Pacific University and look at some of these cars. They are absolutely outstanding. You've got 300 cars to look at, so time is a ticking, and get yourself down here to take a look at it. When we come back from the break, we will be taking a little tour with Eric Peterson, who will be telling us a little bit about he drives these kids around in supercars, plus Chris Yarrow will tell us about that 1930s Packard that the royal family got transported in. That's all coming up on Test Miles here on FM News 101 KXL. I'm Nick Miles.
It's Test Miles on FM News 101. Test Miles Like NASCAR, but with one right turn. Testmiles.com.
Live from the 43rd Annual Concours d'Elegance in Forest Grove, right here at the Pacific University, and I'm staring out at about 500 people who are in awe at some of these amazing vehicles. So along with amazing vehicles comes amazing stories, and we are no one to stop amazing stories coming out to you. I have a couple of guests here. I'm going to talk to Eric Peterson. Eric, you do something called Dream Drives for Kids. What is Dream Drives for Kids?
Dream Drives for Kids is an effort, myself and my wife, Amity, to use our car collection to really make a difference in people's lives. About a year ago, we started working with OHSU Dornbecker Children's Hospital and the Children's Cancer Association to introduce children and families who are going through a particularly tough time in their lives because of illness to Ferraris, Lamborghinis, McLaren, Porsche, and a whole lot more. And we've been steadily adding and making a difference for those families over the past year.
So basically you're giving kids the dream ride in their dream car.
We are. In Portland, we do an actual dream drive. It's about 90 minutes. They come to our garage. They get to see our collection. And then the child picks the car that he or she wants, and we go tear around in the hills around Portland. The program now actually happens all across the United States. So we have sit and snap participants in cities like Atlanta, Oklahoma City, New York, New Jersey, Los Angeles, Seattle, San Francisco. And so families can reach out to us in those cities and see these cars, take pictures, sit, and enjoy them, just like we're going to do here between noon and 1 today.
Excellent. I think I feel like I should be enjoying that too. I should be able to do that.
You're welcome to come over. We'll let you hit the gas pedal on the $5.99.
What sort of cars? So you have a $5.99. What are the other cars in the collection?
Boy, that's a tough question because I got to remember.
Does it rotate or it expands? Or
Yeah. So we have, across the country now, we're up to about, I want to say we're up to almost 200 cars across the country. Wow. Here in Portland, we've got a Ferrari, an 06 F430 F1 Spider, the $599 GTB Fiorino we have today. We've got the BMW i8 and a BMW M4, McLaren MP4 12C, Mercedes SLS AMG, a bunch of Porsche, old Cobra, replica, Super Performance replica, a handful of other cars.
I went on the launch of that i8 in California when BMW launched it. There's two things wrong with that car. Mm-hmm. I don't have one, I can't afford one. That's the two things that are wrong with it. If we could correct those, I'd be very happy.
I don't have that problem.
Because you have one, right?
Yeah,
all right, well, Eric, thanks very much. I also want to talk a little bit to Chris Yarrow. Chris is here. Chris, you have a pretty amazing story at the Concours d'Elegance here. You have a 1930s Packard. I'm not going to flub my way through telling the story. I'm going to allow you to tell us the story because I've heard it once already today, and there is nothing more eloquent than hearing a story from someone who's passionate about it. So tell me the story of your 1930s Packard.
Well, it first started off when I was born on the front seat of a 57 Lincoln, so I'm kind of been hooked to cars ever since. When I was 14, I went through my grandmother's albums and I noticed a picture of a Packard. And it was a picture of a king and queen sitting in the car. So I did some more research, asked a lot of questions, continued to look in the albums, and got more and more pictures of this magnificent car. And a friend of mine, Murray Gammon from the Classic Car Museum in Victoria, was very instrumental in locating that car for me. I took a picture of the car out of the album and went to him, and in 20 seconds he gave me the guy's name and phone number. It was just thrilling. Wow. And I was 14, 1971. I was 14, and I called him. I called him that evening, and I made contact with him, and he was really interested in what I had to say about the car and the pictures and some of the history, because didn't have any of that. So we made contact, and I visited the car twice a year for 14 years straight, and in 1985 it came back to the family.
And so you managed to repurchase it?
I did, absolutely.
And what sort of condition was it in? Did you have to do some work on it?
Mostly original car. It was structurally fantastic. There was no rust. There was no wood rot. still had the original interior in it, the leather interior, of which since I've, of course, restored, but very easy to duplicate the door panels with the original things, as we all know.
And now the car is here, it's on display. Do you know much about that ride that the King and Queen got in the vehicle?
Very little. My grandfather bought it at a dealership in Victoria on Vancouver Island. In a small town at that time. We weren't a very large city. Very strange car to find in Victoria, a big 740 Packard, a Super 8. He walked into the showroom late 29 and saw this car, and he was an engineer, a naval engineer, and his first question to the salesman was, sir, what could I expect for fuel economy, what fuel mileage, in other words?
You have to ask.
And yes, and exactly that. And sir, if you have to ask, I'm sorry, you can't afford it. So he was so annoyed with that remark that he actually walked out of the dealership and didn't return for a few days. And he came back, and the car was still there, and he just had to have it. And he did buy it, and rumor has it he paid quite a bit of money. He was just in his 30s. It was $10,000.
Wow. Woo.
A lot of money in 1930 for a car like that.
Yeah. It was a house price, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Several houses. And so, it left the family. He had Packards before and Packards after, but that was his most favorite one because there were more pictures of it in all the albums. I've got pictures of my mom sitting at it at the steering wheel, age 10.
Right.
So it left the family in 37, and in 1939 it was used as for the King and Queen's royal visit to Victoria, their first visit to Canada, and 1939 King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. And we didn't own it at the time, but it was a valuable, interesting car, and the provincial government picked up on that.
What a great story, and what a amazing history of that car.
Very interesting. And when I made contact with a fellow, I used to travel as a child with the original fitted luggage, not knowing what it was until I did some more research.
Oh, wow.
And I was in my grandmother's basement, so I gave it to the owner that I acquired the car from. And previous to that, my grandmother had given the original trunk to the previous owner, who she made contact with. So. Wow. And when I bought the car back in 1985, my grandmother came out. It was a big welcome home Packard kind of thing, and all the family was there. It was on a flat deck truck coming from an island, which was just 20 minutes away from Victoria on Pender Island. And she came out with an envelope, and in the envelope was 2 sterling silver original Packard insignias of my grandfather's initials, and they're back on the doorpost where they came from in 1930, and they're rarer to find as hen's teeth.
That's unbelievable. What a great story. Eric, thanks so much, and hopefully there'll be a lot of happy kids for what you do. And Chris, thanks so much for telling the story. What incredible stories, what incredible stuff you both do. I tried to tell you guys at the beginning of the show, every car out here has an amazing story that goes with it. Come out, listen to the stories, share the sights, and share what's going on here at the 43rd Annual Concours d'Elegance at Forest Grove, in Forest Grove at the Pacific University. When we return, we'll be talking a little bit more modern, some of the new supercars that are here. You're listening to FM News 101 KXL. This is Tess Miles. I'm Nick Miles.
Throw it in neutral and coast in with testmiles.com. Favorite us, tweet us, friend us, love us, all at testmiles.com.
Welcome back to the 43rd Annual Concours d'Elegance here in Forest Grove. Cars as far as the eye can see, and very happy customers as well. One of the new segments that was added this year is the modern supercars segment. And who better than the man that's in charge of Ron Tonkin Gran Turismo to tell us about some of the cars that he bought and a little bit about their Ferrari experience is Arun. We're old buddies, and this is the first time I've actually had you on the radio show. We did TV together for years.
We did TV together for years.
Yeah. You have a nice display out here as well. Ron Tonkin, the main sponsor here at the event, and you brought some of your prized possessions.
We did. I think this is the second year we co-sponsored the event with our sister store, Tonkin Fiat. We brought out starkly different sets of vehicles.
Yes, from the small $25,000 to the small $250,000.
But they're sexy Italian cars, so it's all good.
That's right. You look good no matter which one you're driving.
So nice Ferraris. You brought my favorite Ferrari.
Please say the FF.
Yeah, it is the FF.
It is my favorite.
I wish I could convince more people that the FF is the best Ferrari out there, but as soon as I do that, I just get shouted down. Four-seater, four-wheel drive. What more could you want?
Well, they can be wrong and we can be right.
Right. I'd like the way you think.
And as long as that happens, it makes it easier for us.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's an amazing car. I probably have done 10 stories on it. And when Ferrari launched the car, I think 2011 in Italy, they sent me to Italy and they said, we're going to helicopter the car onto the top of a snow hill and have you drive it down. I'm like, whatever, liars. Not going to happen. They helicoptered the car. They used Chinooks to fly the car onto the top of the snow hills, and we drove them down the snow hill. Amazing. I mean, I'm driving a car down a ski hill. Amazing.
Not a car.
You're
driving... A Ferrari. A Ferrari down a ski hill. Amazing experience. And I just spent last weekend in an FF as well.
So you were in Italy?
I was recently. I spent a week with the factory in Maranello.
So tell me what happened. You went over there to just...
I don't think we're allowed to talk about it. unless I speak in Italian.
Oh, well, good luck with
poorly.
That. Yeah. So you went to the factory. I've never been.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I think we could arrange it.
Oh, wow. I would be so amazingly grateful. That's one of the things that's definitely on my top 10 things to do in my life is go to the Ferrari
On my
factory.
top 3 things to do in the short-term future with the store is to do an annual trip with clients to the Ferrari factory.
Am I going to get talked into buying a Ferrari at this point?
It could happen.
It could happen.
Worse things could happen.
Definitely worse things could happen.
I spent a week with them at the factory, stayed at the Maranello Palace directly across from the factory. In fact, your hotel windows open up to the factory all day long. There's final production cars on road tests, so you constantly hear 458s and Speciales and F12s, and they're just going around the town. And you walk through, and we saw an incredibly elaborate paint center, design center. We went off site to the coach building facilities, and it's to know that Ferrari is basically a hand-built, custom, one-of-a-kind car, every single car, every single time. You understand that intellectually, but then when you go down and you visit the factory and you see each person building each thing, dashboards being stitched by a person, leather being pulled tight by a person. It's incredible.
And even just being at the oldest Ferrari store in America, Rontonk and Gran Turismo down in Wilsonville, to see the materials laid out there on the wall, to see all the choices that you have, and that's just a drop in the ocean compared to what you can have. I mean, if you ask for Ferrari for something, they will do their best to actually make the car the way you want it.
Most people don't know that beyond the fact that you can customize to an infinite degree your Ferrari with your dealer when you go to build it, there's actually a secondary program that's only done by the factory at the factory, and anybody who wants to do it can do it, but it's called TaylorMade. And TaylorMade is, as it would sound, a truly bespoke car, and there are no limitations. The only limitations are your imagination and your dedication
maybe
to your pocketbook.
Right.
But it's incredible, and they will do any number of materials, designs, you name it.
I noticed one of the things I really love about designing Ferrari, which I do much of my spare time with, is that you're not just restricted to an interior color. You can choose panels. Mm-hmm. You can sit there and choose, I want this one in yellow, I want this one in blue. You can go through the whole car, right?
If you spend enough time in around the Ferrari world, you'll see some cars that are just interesting. Right? I mean, it shows you...
I love the choice of words.
That everybody has a very distinguished sense of style and personal taste, and there are some cars that are elegant or safe, and there's some cars that are flat-out wild.
Right.
And they just go for it.
You told me a little bit in the break that you'd been doing some track time as well, is that right?
Ferrari does several track schools and experiences, FDE, Ferrari Driving Experience. We hosted one with... our a partner store in Seattle, Ferrari of Seattle, and we did a dedicated 2-day event with Ferrari North America in Canada at the Mont Tremblant racetrack, and it was phenomenal. 2 days on the track driving, taking clients to drive F12s, Speciales, 458s, doing burnout donuts.
Wow.
With California teas.
Right.
It was unbelievable. It was so much fun.
I can't imagine just what fun you had over 2 days. Did you get professional instruction during the time you were there?
They have an amazing lineup of instructors, and the best part is they on day one you have introduction with all your instructors, and they get named off one at a time, and their racing pedigree gets lined up, and you realize that every one of these guys is wearing a Rolex Daytona. Only none of them bought it. They just all won Daytona, and they got given a watch, right? Wow. I mean, these are real guys.
So the best of the best taught you. Did you? And I can already say this because I know this. You're a pretty outstanding driver as it is. You're a motorbike guy as well, so you know about speed. You know about control.
It was amazing.
Did you improve over that time?
I improved my thrills.
Because I notice when I sit with guys who really know what they're doing. I recently got to drive Virginia Raceway last week, and I sat next to a professional driver, and at every turn you realize, he's like half a second later, take the corner later, you can brake harder.
Harder, brake later, get on the gas faster.
They really give you, I mean, being instructed in how to drive some of these supercars improves your driving. And I spent 7 years driving a F350 diesel turbo around Portland for 911, so I've driven at high rates of speed, big cars. When you get into some of these supercars or super Ferraris and you drive them around a track and you have professional instructions, the world opens up to you. Right?
The speed, the confidence that you can have, and you go around a racetrack like Mont-Tremblant with Ferrari, with trained world-class drivers, as you've been educated for basically 48 hours. Your confidence, your skill, the fun factor is fantastic.
Now, Ron Tonkin Gran Turismo puts on a track day every year, don't we?
We do. We have one coming up just in a week's time on the 27th.
All right. Tell me the parameters of that. So is it customers?
The parameters are, if you want to come experience a track day with us, come sign up and do it, as long as we have open slots available, and it is open to the public, to anybody who wants to come and watch. This year will actually be, if all goes according to plan, so no promises, but if all goes according to plan, it'll be a very rare day, because we will have 3 or 4 of the Ferrari supercars. Ooh. We will have the F40, the F50, the Enzo, and possibly LaFerrari all at the track, on the track. And that when does that ever happen?
No, I mean, I'm just going down there for the chance of possibly seeing a LaFerrari as well, which I have never actually seen in real life. So that, and then seeing an Enzo again on the track, and
to see all of them lined up together.
Yeah.
And even better to see them all being driven on the track.
Yeah.
That'll be epic.
It is an epic. I've been to track day several times. It's an epic time. And I will tell you that if there's one event that you should not miss every year, it's definitely Ron Tonkin, the track day out at PR 27th.
27th, and you just go to rtgt.com. Details are on the website.
You can find out all about what they have on offer at Ron Tonkin Gran Turismo, the Maseratis, the Ferraris, and I would encourage you to come down here today, because you can not only see the FF and you can see a couple of other Ferraris down here, but you've also got 297 other cars which you can take part in. Have you picked out anything here you like, your favorite, Arun? Several. You're not going to tell me what they are. Keep it a secret. Arun Sharma from Ron Tonkin Gran Turismo, thank you for being our guest. When we come back, we're going to talk to the MCs of the event. They're going to be here to tell us what's going on in the rest of the day. Keith Martin's Sports Car Market and Donald Osborne will walk us through in the last segment of Test Miles. I'm Nick Miles.
It's Test Miles on FM News 101. Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
It's Sunday morning, talking cars for the final segment of the show. It's a very, very beautiful day out here at the Forest Grove Pacific University, where all these cars are lined up. And we saved the best till last. 2 of the guys who are walking the crowd through all of these wonderful cars are here, the official MCs for the event, Keith Martin and Donald Osborne. Keith, I guess you are a pillarhead of the classic car community with your Sports Car Market magazine, and I would say, subsidiaries, because it seems to have grown beyond paper to be embedded in a lot of the classic car shows around the country. Really, the premise of the original premise of Sports Car Market was to help people understand what their vehicles were worth, but it's so much more than that now, right?
Well, yeah, and first of all, thank you for having us both here today, and thank you for coming to Forest Grove. This is a very special event. I think it's the premier concours in the state of Oregon, and perhaps in the Pacific Northwest, and it's the 43rd year. Think about that.
Yeah.
43 years.
Astonishing.
The magazine really started out of my passion for cars and how they're used, and going to auctions and seeing a car sell for $10,000. And then you say, okay, now why was it 10 instead of 12 or instead of 8 or instead of 6? And that's what the magazine was about, was trying to explain, well, you know, the car, the panel fit wasn't right or it had the wrong engine, but it was to give you the backstory of why the price was. It wasn't so much what it's worth, it's why this car was worth that amount.
Right. And then you sort of, it's progressed in there to now everybody relies on you to really give them the background, the history. And you've been embedded with this event for a while now.
Long time. Maybe a decade, maybe longer, that I've been MC. Is this your 5th year, Donald?
It's my 5th year here.
Yeah,
yes.
But I started coming to it when I was a civilian.
Right.
And, because it was the coolest car show in the state.
Right.
And it supports the Rotary. I mean, the Rotary puts it on, so it supports really worthy causes.
Yeah.
And it's a celebration of cars, and it's nothing I'd rather be doing.
And it's a celebration of life and history as well, because those cars are embedded in all of our lives and all of our histories, and we've heard some of the stories today. Donald, beyond just being part of, I know you contribute somewhat to Sports Car Market as well.
Donald's a key figure with Sports Car Market right from the beginning.
A key figure at Sports Car Market, and that must be nice coming from the boss.
Absolutely.
But you're also sort of involved in helping people acquire some of their passions too.
Absolutely, yeah. What I do for a living is I appraise cars, I consult, helping collectors acquire cars, sell cars, and really fulfill the passions that they have, which is one of the reasons why I really enjoy doing this event. When Keith got in touch with me 5 years ago and said that they'd love to have me come up here to co-MC with him, I was thrilled, because this is a show that is really about the passion of car collecting. The people who exhibit their cars here have a real personal connection with the cars, as you have seen and experienced
and
so
heard
far in the
today,
show and heard. And that's the part of it that I really relate to. In my work as an appraiser, obviously, I deal with values. But the values are, as Keith mentioned, what the market says someone is willing to pay for a car in a given moment, on a given day, in a given place.
Right.
It's not what the car is worth. The car is worth whatever it is that you are willing to pay for it to fulfill your passion.
Absolutely. And I've noticed that the value for me of these cars is in the story that's behind them, is in the tale, is in I was born on the front seat of a 57 Lincoln, whatever the story might be. Now you guys get to judge. Or Keith, you judge, or Donald, you both judging, or
we have judged in other events. We are not judging here, thank God.
Right. It's really impossible to wear multiple hats, because our job here is to be really an interface between the cars, the owners, and the audience. Later today, when we're giving the awards, I think what Donald is exceptionally good at is teasing out from people. So how long had this car? You know, did you had it for 40 years, you've been married for 39 years, did you have some exciting moments before your marriage in the back seat of this very car? You know? But that's the cars represent our passions,
right?
And what we try to do is to allow people to share those passions with us.
Right. And then do you get any downtime at all to walk around and take in some of the great cars here?
I have had the opportunity to work the field while I was doing my announcing this morning. I made sure that I walked every quadrant of the field, and it's extraordinary the range of cars that are here today at the show. As I'm sure you've heard before, they're also celebrating a Classic Car Club of America Grand Classic here as a part of the Concours d'Elegance. So you're seeing some of the most important and beautiful big 1930s and 1920s classic cars here, along with some contemporary cars. We've got a supercar class, so the latest and greatest in modern design as well. So we've got the entire gamut of cars, something to fit every enthusiasm.
There's a story about Thunderbirds as well here.
Yes, the 60th anniversary of the Ford Thunderbird.
Amazing, isn't it?
to think some, maybe 10 years ago, you could probably pick a Thunderbird up that was sitting in someone's driveway, not being driven for 5 or 10 years, and at nothing. And now they've been sort of reborn again, especially the newer ones, as a real collector's item, when the old ones were always a great collector's item, but people now running after the last ones that were made because the cars are disappearing and they're exiting their life on the roads in North America, and now people are becoming more and more passionate about a car that doesn't exist anymore.
I think that's a very important point, Nick, which is the fact that what you see here at the show are the cycles of collecting. Because people think, oh, well, collector cars are cars that stop at X year. But no, new collectible cars are being built every year as an audience that responds emotionally to those cars from their youth, from their personal family experiences. Those become the cars they want to collect.
I'm looking here at the Ferrari Testarossas that are here, the 85 to 89. First, I sold those new when I worked for Ron Tonkin Gran Turismo. And
that's
so
memories right there.
It's a little scary to think that a car that I sold as a new car, which we kind of thought was a Miami Vice, look at me, I have no taste, but I have a lot of money, car, has suddenly in the past 2 years become a collectible car. Values have doubled on those cars. And now you look at them, you go, interesting period piece, you know?
Absolutely. Nostalgia, they joke about the fact that nostalgia keeps getting more and more recent. Pretty soon we'll have a revival of last week's style.
I love the idea. Miami Vice. All right, you listen to Test Miles FM News 101 KXL. I'm Nick Miles. Thanks to Mr. Osborne and Mr. Martin.